Oh, you're live. There it says. Okay. So many prompts to obey. It says live streaming isn't available right now. Try again. So now I tried again. So here we are. And we're having this same obstacle that happened 2 weeks ago when our live stream wouldn't start up. And we found out why it is because somehow the technology thinks that we are using live stream software and we don't have live stream software. And we don't know how we invoked that mechanism. So that's what's happening today. We had to start a new live stream and abandon the one that we had set up that we gave everyone links to. So we're just waiting for people to switch over to the new live stream broadcast. And I'm sitting here looking at the live chat and the people who are, it shows you how many people are watching. So we apologize, but there's Ansui. Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, everyone says. It's a wonderful thing to say. So I am sitting here. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's talk to Hoppy and see what he has to tell us. Hey, Hoppy, come over here. Come over and see me. Come here, boy. Come on. Here he comes. Come on up here. Where are you? Here he comes. Here he comes. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, wow. Here he is. It's little Hoppy. Now, can you look at the screen? Look, Hoppy, look. There you are. Look at that. He doesn't see. Give me a little kiss. Give me a little kiss. He doesn't like to kiss on the mouth. He's very shy about that, but he likes to lick your hand. He's so sweet. He's 10 years old. Look at him. Look at him. He's such a good boy. Say hi. Hello. Hello. There's Craig. Hi. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I have some special things to show you for Mother's Day. Remembrances and for just focusing on the beauty and the universality of mother love. It's such a phenomenon. So everybody, round them up here. Circle the wagons. We want to have our 11 o'clock spiritual experience of uplifting, unifying, vivifying awakening. Yeah. You know, I think it's amazing that this experience of being quarantined, of having a time where the whole pace of life is slowed down and our choices are very limited and we have to pay respect to things we might not even agree with. And I was thinking that when we return and we come back together and we're joined together as a spiritual family on a journey of love here in our church, I think all of us will be changed by this experience. I think that it causes actually a deep personality change in a person to have an experience like this where your freedoms are curtailed. You have to stay within the confines of a very limited realm of choices. You have to be extremely careful and mindful and scaled down in what, our usual, quantity of consuming and moving about and being stimulated by various media and entertainment and all kinds of things. So I invite you to consider how we can engage with each other, being sensitive to however we may be changed by this experience. I feel changed by it. I feel that my personality or the way I show up is slower and is more contemplative of the things that I really appreciate in life, and very careful to get back up to the previous level of the previous movement and level of activity that I had before, and to want to appreciate what others may have experienced, what losses they may have suffered during this time, what fears may have traumatized them. All of these things are in play in this experience that we go through together. So I really look forward to the time when we can resume our walk together as a spiritual family in greater love and sensitivity and appreciation for all that we have, and all that we have the possibility to generate now. So it looks like we've got a few more people that have found us, and it's getting on to be 5 after, 10 after. So I'm going to officially start. Okay. So I'm wishing everyone a very happy Mother's Day. Not only do we honor the mothers and grandmothers and daughters and granddaughters that we love and that we appreciate and that we cherish, but I want to honor that energy that we call mother love. It was a very important question to me to answer. As a young person, I wanted to know, would I feel the same way towards people, towards children that I did not give birth to, if I was mothering them, if I was responsible for them? Would I feel the same love for them that I felt for my own biological children? And I think the answer for that is very individual, whatever it is for you. But we see that mother love is even felt by animals for other species. For babies that are not even their species, they feel mother love. And so I think that mother love is a special kind of energy that we ever cherish, that energizes in an extraordinary way whoever accesses its source. So, in praise of mother love and in honor of mothers, we wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. And I have a few things of beauty to share in honor of that. So I have saved this for years. This is a child's nosegay. I always keep it in my office in case we do a wedding where there's a child in the wedding procession who needs a nosegay to carry. But here on Mother's Day, of this Mother's Day, these are the pink roses that symbolize the love of mothers and daughters, the youthful love of mother love. And then I have the red and white roses of Mother's Day in this arrangement that we've been keeping this in our breezeway lately. It's a beautiful arrangement of red and white roses. They are silk flowers, but roses, they do represent mothers and our love for them and the sweet fragrance of the love that mothers radiate. So, thank you, God. And then I'm going to light the Christ candle now. Do you realize that the lighting of the Christ candle is pretty well universal throughout the unity movement? At the beginning of any gathering, to light the Christ candle. And we conform to that practice because did not Jesus tell us that you are the light of the world? Let your light shine. See the flame? It's there. There it is. Okay. And then we like to ring this bell because in the absence of our wonderful handbell choir and our wonderful unity singers and our wonderful musician, accompanist who plays the piano so beautifully, who does not like to be named, we will ring this bell to invoke the sound and vibration that is one of the powerful creative forces in the manifest realm. So now, before I begin today's message, I've been asked by the board, and in particular our treasurer, to remind you that we know that we all have financial concerns during this time of an economic slowdown and limits on productivity and consumption and income and availability of work. And so do we here at Unity. We have ongoing obligations, financial responsibilities to maintain. And so we do ask you to remember us in your giving. And to remember that what it's all about, this giving of a love offering. We never call it anything but a love offering, actually, because it's given in love, and its amount is dictated by your own divine guidance. That's it. All Unity churches are 501c3 nonprofit corporations that have membership, but the membership is not based on any fee, and they are all supported by free will love offerings. And it's amazing how the mind of God works through every individual mind to inspire them to give exactly what is needed to come together and create the income and the abundance that sustains us. So we're honored to have each and every one of you as a part of this ongoing abundance and flow of giving and receiving. Because what our mission is, as an institution here, this Unity of Muskegon and every Unity church, the mission is to offer spiritual food, that is spiritual education, spiritual fellowship, spiritual experience, spiritual growth, spiritual awakening. And if you are receiving a spiritual message, any of those spiritual avenues of activity, then your natural response then is to give, because as the Bible says, freely you have received, freely give. And we do so appreciate all of the love offerings that we receive, and we send a thank you and acknowledgement every time it happens. So we do thank you, we love you, and we feel your love. Okay, now, our topic today is let yourself flow. Now, we could call it the freeing truth of being part 2. In fact, we could call every single message that is ever given here, we could call it the freeing truth of being part whatever it is. But from the time we counted them last week, this is number 2. And I think it's so timely to talk about letting yourself flow now, because having been confined to lesser options, fewer options, and fewer distractions, fewer stimulations, fewer choices, having been confined now, we have the opportunity to get in tune more with our inner promptings, with our inner rhythms, with our inner thoughts and desires, with our depths. And that is a wonderful thing. That's quite a blessing. I think it's one of the good things that is a derivative of this time. of the coronavirus shutdown is being able to get in tune with and sense the inner flow of your own spirit. So it's really a matter of being able to listen to your own inner flow, to your own inner promptings. You know, there are classes called the Spiritual Enlightenment and Enrichment series that Unity offers, and you have to take certain courses through spiritual education and enrichment to qualify for spiritual leadership. So I was taking one of these courses, and it was called The Spiritual Journey. It was being given at the Unity Church in Gaithersburg back in the 90s. And it was actually a Bible class of the Old Testament, tracing the journey, the spiritual journey from Abraham to Malachi, the Old Testament spiritual journey. And the teacher, who was a Unity minister named Reverend Tony Bain, just love her. The teacher started the course by saying, the spiritual journey is the journey of learning to listen. I was so struck by that idea. I didn't hear another thing in the class the whole week. I didn't hear another thing. All I could do was just contemplate the wonder, the depth, the truth of that one proposition. The spiritual journey is the journey of learning to listen. So now especially we have the opportunity to regain these internal rhythms we have by learning to listen within. You know, so often I see that people are being adversarial to their very own selves. Somehow we get the idea that, you know, that our appetites and our intuitions and our flow is wrong and has to be fixed. And we end up being in opposition to our very own rhythms. You know, this adversarial position is one of the main issues in spiritual growth. That to be adversarial is to be separate, to have opposites, to judge and find something as other and wrong and to be resisted. But in spiritual consciousness, we transcend adversarial thinking. And it starts with ourselves, to no longer be adversarial to oneself, to welcome and fan the flame of one's interests and one's passions and one's appetites and one's dreams and one's physiological, biological needs. I was thinking that this attention deficit disorder that we have so much trouble with children, that in a way we might be creating that because we impose so many demands on our children's attention. One of the very important aspects of an educational philosophy is to follow a child's interests, and teach them to follow their own interests, to capture their interests and follow them. The Native American peoples of North America were very strong in embracing and seeing the essence of a child's spirit from the very beginning and feeding that back to them and letting them express that. But with the ADD, it's like, you know, a child has a certain focus and we knock them off their focus because we have so many requirements and expectations and scheduling and structures that we impose on them that, in fact, we may be the cause, that imposition may be the cause of their inability to maintain focus, because the original strength of that focus was interrupted so much. And that is why it's important, like when my children were growing up, I always told their babysitters, if Becky or Sarah, if they're interested in something, if they're looking at something, if they're doing something, don't stop them. Don't interrupt them. Very important. So how much energy do we waste when we're in opposition to ourselves? We're trying to set up a rhythm for the schedule of when we consume our food, a rhythm for the schedule of when we sleep. But when we try to impose some kind of foreign plan on ourselves, we do waste a lot of energy, but pushing and pulling. And indeed, we waste a lot of energy also in opposition with in certain institutional settings. I'm reminded of a time when I gave a support group for teacher burnout. Yes, I was the director of youth education at Unity Temple on the Plaza, and I put together this offering to have a support group for teacher burnout at the temple on a weeknight. And it was attended by around 8 teachers. And I explained to them that night that burnout is the result of being in opposition to the energy flow of the students. And that if we regard them as spiritual beings who have their own flow and who are entitled to have that flow of energy and momentum, and if we join with that flow, we will not cause the friction that burns us out. I was able to make the case so eloquently that all 8 of the teachers said, okay, good, I don't need to come back anymore. I got it. Thanks. Because their time is limited, isn't it? But that's the strangest thing that happened to me. As I was leaving the building that night, going down into a big parking lot there in the area. There was a little stairway that went down from the elevator into the parking lot. And as I was going down the stairway, I felt that there were angels standing on either side of the little stairway, applauding that I had done a good service for these teachers who were dedicated to educating our precious children by enabling them to stop being in resistance and start being in the flow. And we all can do this. So now, that was a lesson for our partnership parenting work as well. I was supposed to say that first. So the partnership parenting, this is quintessential philosophy or theory for not getting in a situation of adversarial authority with a child, and thereby getting yourself burned out from friction. Now, talking more about flowing from within now. Has anybody looked at my Facebook page? I love to look at people's Facebook pages and see what they say about their religious views and places they've worked and all the photos that they save. Now, on my Facebook page, where it says religious views, from the very beginning that I ever opened up a Facebook page account, I've only had 3 little words in my religious views section, and it just says, flow from within. I really believe this, you see, flow from within. Because as we become more spiritually attuned, like I was saying last week, you get more sensitive. And you cannot do destructive things. But as you become more spiritually aware, you become more sensitive to the flow of things, the rhythm of things, the cycles of things, both inside you and around you. that sensitivity heightens as we grow spiritually. And as an example of that, I started to think that, perhaps in the summertime when we have so many mosquitoes biting us, well, maybe these mosquitoes are doing us a service by circulating antibodies and stimulating immunities, crossing bloodstreams, just a very subtle kind of stimulation that heightens our immune system. And it happens in the summertime when we have the most sunlight and fresh air and exercise and activity, and prepares us for the wintertime when we're exposed to pathogens. This could be a rhythm. This could be a rhythm that, being more sensitive, you become aware of, and thereby you don't fret the mosquito biting so much. There's a song, Row, Row, Row Your Boat. Have you come to ever see that song is actually a very spiritual chant? Because it evokes this feeling of being able to go with the flow and realize that as we put ourselves into a more and more of a trance-like state, being sensitive to spiritual consciousness, we're freer to go with that flow. The words go, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. I think that is a deeply mysterious spiritual message for all people. And singing it in a round is quite delightful and beautiful. So sing that once in a while. Let it uplift you. Another song that reminds me of getting into the flow is that song on the album Still Crazy After All These Years. It's called 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. And the chorus goes, just hop on the bus, Gus, and get yourself free. Get yourself free. It's a very similar chant. It's a very similar mantra. Because as we liberate ourselves to be in the flow, to be flowing from within and sensitive to the rhythms and tides around us, requires freedom. And if outer circumstances are curtailing our freedom, we have to heal that. So this song is kind of an antidote to codependent relationships. If we want to have healthy relationships, we have to respect the freedom of another person. We have to allow each person to have their own self-sovereignty in order to have this flow, in order to have healthy relationships. So I'm reminded of the living waters referred to in the story of Jesus with the woman at the well. People tell me they like to have me read the Bible, and I love to. Love to. So this is that wonderful passage, 4th chapter of John, Jesus with the woman at the well. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water, and Jesus saith unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away into the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman saith unto him, Sir, hast thou nothing to draw with? And the well is deep. From whence hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Jesus answered and said unto her, Whoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water, springing up into everlasting life. Now that's the flow you want to tap into. Now, before we have our time of meditation, there's one quotation that I want to read to you that is something I found on a YouTube video, and I find it most inspiring. If you want to hear more about it, you can contact me. The source of this YouTube video is questionable. I can't track who it is. But I do love these thoughts. We must harmonize our physical, emotional, and spiritual bodies as one. So, as a planet, we will begin to tune into the unity consciousness of the universe. This will prevent separation and lower forms of behavior on the planet. With the awakening of our hearts and pineal glands, we will learn how to work with the universe, expanding and spiraling into the greater dimensions of intelligence. So in our time of meditation today, I want us to embrace this thought. I totally trust the fountain of life, love, and wisdom within me. I totally trust the fountain of life, love, and wisdom within me. So just take some deep breaths to feel this feeling of totally trusting your own self. We say in the emotional freedom technique, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Our own relationship with self is so sacred, so important. To know that our true identity is divine. To feel the unlimited goodness of our essence. And so now, in the secret place of the Most High, take this thought and let it lead you to complete communion. I totally trust the fountain of life, love, and wisdom within me. with great gratitude, with appreciation, with love, in peace, in the light of divine awakening, we emerge. We emerge to know as never before that we are empowered to live in harmony, in perfect health, in abundance, and in fellowship. Namaste. Blessed be.